Hello and welcome to Grand Prix Minneapolis. I'm Randy Bueller here with Jake Van Lunen. We are ready for round 7. We've got the Hall of Famer on your left, LSV, a man who needs no introduction, I would think, at this point, playing against John Pennick, who, familiar to many of our viewers, I'm sure, but you want to fill in the rest of everybody?
So John Pennick is a really well-known Magic Online mind. He is, I think he has worked closely with Jerry Thompson for countless events. They are very close with one another.
All right, Thoughtseize from LSV. We get to see Pennick's hand. Looks like Pride Mage, Scavenging Ooze, Abrupt Decay. He led with a Bird of Paradise. Is he a mid-range? I see a Swamp, though. Is he playing Pod with Scavenging Ooze? And he could be a Pod player, right? Is this a Pod mirror? I mean, this is what LSV's got to go through, right? He's got to figure out, all right, I've seen your hand. Now I got to figure out what you're up to so I know what to take. I've got Pennick on Pod right now, but that hand is not unambiguous. All right, LSV takes the Pride Mage, which makes sense. It's going to blow up whatever birthing pod LSV comes up with. I know LSV's on Pod. Anyway, you were explaining about John's background.
Yeah, so John is very well known on Magic Online, known as Dr. Pennick. His most recent notable finish was second place at Grand Prix Oklahoma City. Okay. He's just generally considered a great constructed mind and a great limited mind, and some of the greatest deck builders in the world, when they are not sure how to finish off a deck or how to build a sideboard, they confer with John Pennick. So you may have never heard of him, and he doesn't travel much for the game, but he is an excellent, super high-level player.
Nice, and he is in fact on Pod. I've just been handed the deck list, so Malira Pod mirror match.
You see a lot of Dr. Pennick 4-0s in premier event or daily events on Magic Online, and he's usually playing Malirapod in those. So
that makes sense. Yeah, Luis has had success with this deck as well. He top 8'd Grand Prix Richmond. I mean, the most recent Modern GP, LSV put up a top 8 there with essentially this deck. I saw an article. He was actually messing around with a Delver deck. Posted a sweet Delver list in an article this week. I mean, he kind of admitted he was probably going to play Pod anyway, just because he had so much more practice with it, and it's proven successful. But if you're looking for a brew, it was a nice article from Luis earlier this week. All right, so Abrupt Decay takes down Scavenging Ooze, and Pennick plays a second bird. Haven't gotten a good look at Luis's hand yet. What's he got going on?
I see, is that a pair of Gavany Townships?
Oh, Sin Collector.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a nice card. It's been kind of creeping into the main deck with this combo-heavy field. You've been talking about that all day, about how much combo there is out there and how much discard everyone is trying to cram into their list. That was the sideboard plan at the Pro Tour.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, we're seeing more and more discard as the format continues to evolve, because people are realizing just how strong these combo strategies are. And
Pennick cracks a fetch land as a response so that he can get the mana, so that he can Abrupt Decay the Sin Collector rather than just lose it to the Sin Collector. He revealed a hand that had nothing left but a land.
And here, he's going to activate Gavany Township and make both those birds into actual fighters, and then fly in for 1 damage.
The big bird plan. Luis is down to 12? They had a Thoughtseize. Oh, did he get hit by that Scavenging Ooze once?
It seems that he did, yeah.
That makes sense. I think John just drew Ranger of Eos.
Oh, that's quite a good draw step.
I mean, it's a 3-2, and it goes and gets a couple of cards. I mean, it can get the Vizarasir to potentially help with the combo. It can just get a Noble Hierarch to help with Exalted. I think Vizarasir Hierarch? He goes with the bird rather than the Hierarch. I guess he wants flying?
Huh.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I would have thought Hierarch is better here. But I mean, if you don't think you're ever going to be attacking with just one creature, and on this, 5 creatures in a Gavany Township board, he's probably not ever attacking with only one creature. then flying is better than blank. I guess there's also a chance the red or black mana could be relevant. I don't think so.
I guess the black mana could be relevant. I mean,
He
if
has
he
a
wants
swamp and
to.
2 birds, but it's always the micro decisions that suck you in,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're
I love how we're
I got all the
talking
big
about this
stuff.
on
They're like
edge, and
this
it's
teeny
like-
tiny micro decision is the one we wind up talking about. Shriek Maw from LSV.
It's a pretty good card, but I mean, in this spot, it's
There's a
not
lot of
looking
creatures.
excellent. Yeah. So I mean, he'll probably just be forced to deal with, a bird that has a +1/+1 counter. Not surprising.
Yeah, because he can block Ranger Vios, so. Yeah, flying. It looks like Pennick looks correct here. I mean, they're both 0-1s that can pick up counters and then attack, but
Yeah, now, I mean, if he had a Noble Hierarch, it would not be able to attack here, and the
Right.
bird can.
right.
So,
Shows what we know. Such a decision-intensive deck.
yeah, every little thing, whether to get that bird or that Hierarch.
I mean, you have so many ways to search your deck for different things. I mean, even the non-birthing pod games. I mean, neither player has drawn a birthing pod this game. It's still got a bunch of decisions. I mean, I know one of the things a lot of people watching are probably trying to figure out is what do they want to take to war in the PTQ season. Definitely think the right play is to pick one deck and stick to it, but the question really is which deck. All right, tag with everybody, activate Gavany Township. Ranger's going to trade with Shriek Maw, so that isn't really affected by these +1/+1 counters, but everybody else gets through for an extra point of damage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Luis found his birthing pod now, but
Interesting.
it's looking like it might be too late.
Quite possibly. He's down to 7. Anyway, if you're trying to pick your PTQ weapon of choice, if you like decision-intensive decks, birthing pod. If you don't like decision-intensive decks, not birthing pod.
Do not birthing pod.
You have to enjoy just working out a whole bunch of different hypotheticals and then pruning the decision tree and figuring out which branch you want to go down. Sort of every phase of every turn, there's usually something going on with this deck.
See, Malira Pod is a deck where I love this deck for daily events. I love this deck for the first 4 rounds of a PTQ. But
Okay.
when you start getting into that home stretch after playing, when if
Your
you're in
brain
an
starts to
area,
melt around round 5.
if you're in an area where you're going to have to play 11 or 12 rounds to win your PTQ, this might not be the best deck to play. That's
it takes a certain amount of stamina.
That's a lot of mental capacity that you have to keep up there.
On the other hand, I mean, if you want to be like the pros,
Yeah,
many of
that's
the
true.
pros, this is just the weapon of choice. All right, Gavany Township keeps pumping up the birds. Big Bird Plan runs into another Abrupt Decay, so down to 1 Big Bird now. It hits for 2.
Attention players, I need Charles Clark.
Oh, so Bird's getting sacrificed to Vizaris here for a scry here.
To the side event stage to fire off a team
It's
draft.
like Pennick pushes. So Luis has almost managed to stabilize. We're down to 1 bird, right?
Yeah.
Which, for the record, would be terrible if it was a Noble Hierarch.
It's so relevant. That's one tiny little decision. It's actually very funny.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Now Luis can start activating his township, but, I mean, he can't really do that because
there's
he's
just
dead in
2/3
2
of it, yeah.
turns to that bird.
He needs to deal with the bird. If he has a birthing pod in his hand, right? I think I saw it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that bird is 2/3, so it doesn't even die to red cap. Yes, and the Shriek Maw's in the graveyard.
No, I think he played the
He
Abrupt
just
Decay already.
played an Abrupt Decay. Does he have another Abrupt Decay? I mean, another Abrupt Decay would be awesome here, and then the board really is stable. I mean, that Vizaris here is it's gonna take a while for Vizaris here to do anything. I mean, Kitchen Finks is pretty good game here in terms of gaining life. Right, if he goes Birthing Pod, he can Birthing Pod sack Spellskite for Kitchen Finks. and gain life. I mean, he doesn't have to pay any Phyrexian mana to do that play if he doesn't want to. He's not.
Oh, it does look like an Abrupt Decay.
He's attacking with Spellskite. What just happened?
You just got a free point of damage.
Oh, ha. The Noble Hierarch.
Yeah.
It's good on Luis's side of the board. Yeah, so he plays the Birthing Pod, sacks the Spellskite. I had this line, I just didn't see attack for one. Knock your opponent from the 17 to 16.
Because, I mean, if he blocks,
Crucial.
whatever.
It's even better, right.
Yeah, it just doesn't matter at all. And
Right.
then,
Oh, yeah, blocking would have worked, but Pennick didn't want to risk it.
yeah, and
So,
I mean,
yeah.
it's 1 point of damage, and he's at 17, you know?
Spellskite does, in fact, turn into Kitchen Finks, gaining a couple of life. And then allowing Luis to get further up the chain next turn. This game's kind of poised on a knife edge here. Pennick's been the aggro player with all of those counters on all of those birds. But now Luis has the key card, Birthing Pod. I mean, this deck plays totally differently when it has a pod and when it doesn't have a pod.
Yeah.
Like, it is by far the most ridiculous deck in the format when it has Birthing Pod. And then the key to getting really good at the deck is being able to win the games where you don't draw the pod. You just kind of have to grind them out. All right, Finks is going to block Vizara Seer, which, does that actually kill the Vizara Seer? Wasn't that a third counter?
I thought that was a third counter.
It's a third counter for a 4/4 Vizara Seer, right?
Yeah, that was my understanding.
It doesn't die to Kitchen Finks.
Oh, right. Township.
There you go.
You tried to get me.
Yeah, Vizara Seer survives the fight with Kitchen Finks. Kitchen Finks, I think Luis figured he was going to sack it to Birthing Pod anyway. He'll go ahead and flicker it now and get us 2 life. I mean, he effectively gained 6 life with this line.
I'm at 6.
Right, because he doesn't take the 4 from the Vizara Seer. I guess he was probably going to get the 2 from the Kitchen Finks anyway. But yeah, he's just trying to preserve his life as much as he can.
Yeah, and now it's rough because now Luis can just search up, Restoration Angel, Linvala, things like that. And
so what's the line? At 4, he's got, I assume he does have a Restoration Angel, which doesn't do a ton. I mean, because he blocked with the Kitchen Finks and it's got a counter, it's going to go away.
I'm very surprised that John doesn't block there and just trade with that Kitchen Finks.
He can get rid of the counter with Gavany Township, but that's really mana intensive. Yeah, I don't think he has the mana to play the Gavany Township game there. So, okay, what's the 3-drop of choice? Linvala doesn't do much. I mean, it is flying, but the bird is big enough to beat it up. The bird beats up a Restoration Angel now, too, right? That bird is a 4/5 attacker now. Red Cap can kill the Hierarch. All right, goes Red Cap. Pennick does, of course, sack it to Vizara's here. It's dying anyway. May as well get a scry out of it. Is that Court of Calling on top that he's looking at?
Ooh, interesting. So what does Pennick have that he can get with this chord?
I went Luis. Oh, as Luis's land comes into play tapped. Land coming into play untapped would have been awesome there because he would have been able to activate Gavany Township. But the fact that it comes into play tapped, that was big.
It is big.
Instead, I think that 4 mana just goes wasted here. All right. I would think Pennick, send him in. They're just big at this point. You force Luis to use up his red cap. It is an Abrupt Decay. Wow. Huge.
Garrett Robb.
Mana does not go to waste. It's in fact used extremely effectively. Bird goes down. Vizara Seer is still big enough to beat up a red cap. Luis flickers it. Pennick will take 1 when it from the comes into play effect. Pennick.
Jeez.
Is he out of gas now? I mean, Luis can probably get a never-ending stream of chump blockers out of that birthing pod, but okay. Here's Chord of Calling. Chord for 3. What's the play? Does he have a Harmonic Sliver to kill birthing pod?
I believe he does, right? Does he?
I think he's looking. Ooh, Orzhov Pontiff. All your guys get -1/-1, so that kills both of Luis's creatures. And
Yeah,
Luis
now-
is empty-handed.
Yeah, now Luis needs to draw a guy.
Yeah, that's even better than Harmonic Sliver.
That is better than Harmonic Sliver.
Kill all
This
your
is a
creatures.
great game.
This has been a great game.
Yeah, look at this.
Top deck or no. Pennick's creatures are lethal next turn with a Gavany Township activation. What did you draw, Luis? Must be something. Looking at his graveyard, did he draw something big enough to get Revelark?
That would be pretty impressive. I mean, he could.
1, 2, 3,
He
4,
just,
5.
oh, he just drew the Revelark?
He drew Chord.
Ah, okay.
So we can Chord for 2.
Chord
Get
for
like
2.
Voice of Resurgence.
Yep.
Which you can then pot away to get a token and a 3-drop.
This is the last call.
Yep.
Sign up for the two-headed
Which is
giant
good
tournament
enough.
starting at 6
I mean,
p.m.
it certainly survives the
Last
turn.
call, sign up for the two-headed giant tournament.
What's the
Starts at 6
3-drop?
p.m. If you have
I mean, he's got an Eternal Witness if he wants something from his yard. He's got another Kitchen Finks if he wants some
last
life.
call for the two-headed giant tournament. You must be in
He's
line
got
right
Scavenging
now to
Ooze.
register for this event.
He just shuffled to the front as a 2-drop. That doesn't sound right. Isn't Voice better here?
Oh, Voice is definitely worlds better.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like Voice into Kitchen Finks to me. Because he's gonna have to pay 2 life to use the Birthing Pod if he does want to sacrifice this 2-drop now. Which, I mean, yeah, I mean, this looks like... I don't know, what's your play?
Oh, my goodness. I mean,
I'm on Voice Sackett for Kitchen Finks. Not convinced that that's correct, but it feels like good value.
yeah, I feel like. And one of the issues, though, is that. So, how does Haunt read exactly again? On the
When it
Pontiff?
dies, haunt a creature. So, right, he can, but then when that creature dies, you get the effect again. So, John does have the ability to
manipulate Haunt with.
but he doesn't have another creature to die. Like, he can sack the Pontiff to his Vizara Seer, but then all it does is haunt something. He has to, that creature then needs to die for the ability to resolve a second time. He doesn't want to sack his 4/4 Vizara Seer, so he has some ability to manipulate haunt. Yeah, my line of play. Oh yeah, I get blown out if it, to creature sack haunt sack. Yeah, my line of
Yeah.
play would get destroyed by any creature sack Pontiff to Seer, haunt the new creature, sack the new creature to Seer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would get blown out by that line of play. You're right. So Luis has just gone Scavenging Ooze and declined to use Birthing Pod.
I mean, he doesn't really have much of a choice here.
Yeah, so the 4/4 is going to attack, and yeah, Luis shrugs. He takes 4 down to 2. Oh, is that Birthing Pod?
Looks like it.
Wow, what a game!
Yeah, this is definitely
This is
a game.
Haymakers. Spellskite, Birthing Pod, activate Birthing Pod. It's got to be Pontiff. Yeah. So Pontiff haunts the Spellskite. If that Spellskite dies, he gets the Pontiff effect again, which is either your guys get +1/+1 or their guys get -1/-1.
No, he gets to go get
Now
a
he gets a
4.
4-drop. What's the 4-drop?
Linvala.
Oh, did Luis not respond? Shouldn't Luis have responded to the pod by activating his Scavenging Ooze?
Yes.
It is now too late to use the Scavenging Ooze ability.
Yeah.
Does he not play Red Cap? Murderous Red Cap would have been lethal there if he played it.
No, because if he murders red caps, Luis can just remove
Respond
a creature
with
from the
Scavenging Ooze.
graveyard
And then you
gain a
sack
life.
it and deal a 3rd damage.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Well, didn't matter.
Yes, he did.
Luis
He
scoops
did
him up.
have
He does have a Red Cap in his list.
He
right?
does have a red cap. He didn't play the red cap already, did he?
No, that was Luis.
Okay,
I
so
like
he
the
did
way
have
you
the
get
red cap.
needle, like you can't use your scavenging ooze needle.
Yeah.
You know, there's some like mind game shenanigans there. Could have just killed you, but I wanted to make you feel bad for not activating your scavenging ooze as a response. LSV is like, you were supposed to get the red cap. Why would I activate scavenging ooze? I want you to get Linvala. I don't die on the spot to Linvala the way I do to red cap. It's funny.
It's also weird though because you're not used to like wanting to search up a red cap when your opponent has an ooze in play when they can when they also have mana up, right? Because they can remove it from the game when you try to persist it and things like that.
Yeah, here's Birthing Pod. This is the deck both of these players are playing. I don't think they're card for card identical lists, but they're clearly close. You know,
They're very close.
If you have the pod, you can just go up the chain of value creatures and then piece together a combo if that happens to be what's best in the game. Usually you wind up winning with those value creatures. These are both Malira pod variants of the Birthing Pod deck. The Kiki Pod deck is a little more of a straightforward combo finish. These guys, neither of the combos came into play there. For the record, though, the combo, Malira says you can't put -1/-1 counters on your creatures. So with Malira in play, anytime you sacrifice a persist creature, like a Kitchen Finks or a Murderous Redcap, it'll come back. It can't get a -1/-1 counter, so it can just keep coming back again and again and again and again, and now any sacrifice outlet, like the Vizaris here that we saw on Pennick's side of the board, will just let you infinitely recur, infinite life with Kitchen Finks or infinite damage with Murderous Redcap. Quite the
It's
deck.
a fun interaction.
It is. This deck was arguably the best deck in Modern a year ago. It certainly did great at the Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah.
Modern was then played at the World Championships, and it did not dominate. I mean, that was much more of a sort of control-ish metagame. It's sort of a, you get those weird, small, maybe slightly inbred metagames in a 16-person tournament.
When it's 16 people, it's hard to play a deck like this because you're just going to have a bunch of people who are playing a whole bunch of, counter spells and removal spells and card draw. And
then the Grand Prix after that Worlds and before the most recent Pro Tour went more toward the Splinter Twin side of the metagame. The Pro Tour comes out. It's really the Modern specialists that win that, and there's no one dominant deck at the Pro Tour. But you know what? Pod was there. Pod finished second. Pod was still arguably the best deck, even coming out of that Pro Tour. It won Richmond. We'll see. I don't know. I think this is the best deck in the format. I think, if I was in charge of this format, the card that would be at the top of my watch list in terms of bannings and restrictings would be the card Birthing Pod. But hey, no BNR list between now and the end of the PTQ season. So, if you want to invest in something and learn it, try to get yourself qualified. This is a fine choice. No need to fear the BNR announcement. We just had one. There won't be one until M15 comes out.
it's not particularly oppressive. It's a deck that, it's really strong. But I think it gives you a lot of room to outplay people.
The reason I would have it at the top of my watch list is that I feel like it warps the metagame. Like, you can't play a deck that doesn't have a plan against it.
That's true.
You're going to have to beat this deck. And that it's really hard to beat them. They have so many lines and so much ability to play around anything. I mean, yeah, I'm a fan of having skill testing decks in the format, but not if, the deck plus the skill means unbeatable.
That's true. And it's pretty close.
Right. I mean, the reason this deck doesn't win everything is because it's really hard. It is the hardest deck to play in the format, in my opinion. And it's that shouldn't be the only thing keeping it in check. Pretty good starts for both players.
And it still wins most things.
We'll see. If it wins this GP, yeah. If it doesn't win this GP, then, you could make the case for Splinter Twin being as good over the last 6 months.
That's true.
And I mean, in the control decks, won the PT and, Shahar won Worlds with essentially,
That's true.
A
The
more
Blue Era
aggressive
deck.
version of McLaren's deck. All right, Luis's turn 2 is Scavenging Ooze with a land up. No food in anybody's yard yet, though.
Luis's version of the deck has a lot more spot removal. He's playing, I guess just 3 I'd rep the K as opposed to 2.
Okay. Yeah, that definitely seems like the spot removal of choice. It's really the face-to-face guys that I feel like really innovated there, right? Sam Pardee was the guy who's just been playing this deck forever and very publicly. And he's been, 2 abrupt decays forever. And it was Pardee's list that Jacob Wilson used to get second at the PT.
Continue to fix mana.
Kitchen Finks for Pennick.
Another interesting thing, Pennick, 4 copies of Kitchen Finks, which has been, the norm for this deck. But Luis is only playing 1 copy of Kitchen Finks in his
really?
deck.
That's kind of interesting.
So that's probably why the line came up as it
He
did.
couldn't get a Kitchen Finks. I wanted to go
even
voice in the
find
Kitchen
one.
Finks, and it wasn't in the deck.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me he might only have 1 copy.
And, the format has oscillated away from these aggressive
No,
strategies.
Fair enough. Yeah, no, it's those 4 Kitchen Finks that make me just never want to play Zoo. All right, so Luis had a birthing pod, slammed the birthing pod down, immediately went to go get the Pontiff so that he could kill that Bird of Paradise, attacking John Pennick's mana base in particular.
When you're on the play in this matchup, if you have an opportunity to kill their mana guy when you have one in play,
Yeah.
it's just...
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the difference between 3 mana and 4 mana is the difference between being able to play and activate Birthing Pod.
Yeah.
And I mean, just playing it is not nearly as good as playing it and activating it.
Yeah, especially because
World's
Luis now,
different.
he can, next turn, search up a Linvala.
Giant
Right.
Shield. Parents are going up. Parents proceeding.
All right, Pennick's turn 3, Pride Mage. All
Players in the
right.
two-minute giant.
So Pride Mage takes advantage of the Exalted to get an extra point of damage by attacking with the Kitchen Finks, and then once that's done with, down goes Birthing Pod. Pretty good turn for John Pennick.
Yeah, great turn.
I mean, it required him to have just naturally drawn. How many Pride Mages does he play? Is it more than 1? I think it's usually just
Probably
the one.
One.
Does he have a Harmonic Sliver or just the Pride Mage for blowing up the pod?
Post board, he also has a Harmonic Sliver, yeah.
Came in from the sideboard, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Now Luis attacks with his Orzhov Pontiff and 4 mana.
Yeah, go try. Can't see it from over.
Replacement pod and sack the Pontiff? Wow, it is.
Oh, my goodness.
Replacement pod.
That's
And
brutal.
Cracked a fetch land. So, yeah. Sacks the Pontiff, haunting Kitchen Finks, and going to get a 4-drop. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Red Cap kills the Kitchen Finks. It comes back as a 2/1 and then dies to the Pontiff's Haunt ability.
Mm-hmm.
Nice line, Luis. And now Pennick he's got nothing. His board is 3 lands. Wow.
And the world is Luis's oyster at this point.
Yeah, you can tell Luis really knows this deck, too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he top-8'd Richmond, and that
He
turn...
top-8'd like a 4,000-person tournament.
Yes. It's some help from his tiebreakers.
Yeah.
But yes. But I mean, think about how many different things he could have done on that turn, and it was just instantaneous. It's like, oh, I slammed the pod, I cracked the fetch land because I don't have to pay 2 life. I can pay regular mana. Of course, I just sack the Pontiff, haunting your Kitchen Finks, get the red cap, kill your Kitchen Finks,
Yeah.
trigger the haunt ability, and
Well,
finish
isn't
off the
that
Kitchen
obvious?
Finks. Obviously. All right, 2 mana for Pride Mage. Red Cap's attacking for 3. Oh, 4. Double Exalted.
Yeah.
And then he's going to Birthing Pod. I think we're in the attack phase now. Pennick is... Oh, okay. He's going to play a Mind Sensor. Did Luis not activate Pod? What just happened? He put him... Did he read him for Aven Mind Sensor? How is that even possible? Luis chose not to activate his Birthing Pod. I didn't miss this, right?
No, you didn't miss that.
And his opponent just had Aven Mind Sensor.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's
not
pretty
like
unbelievable. He must have an Aven Mind Sensor of his own.
he didn't play the Mind Sensor in combat, right? He played it at end of turn.
Yeah, he played an end step. Luis must have his own mind sensor.
Did Luis? Yeah, I guess Luis is the human mind sensor. That's your line. That's
No,
your
no, no.
story?
Luis has a mind sensor himself in his hand, right?
Sure, to remind him that it exists. Still, he hasn't seen Pennick's hand, has he?
No, he is not.
What a sick read.
Yeah, that was pretty absurd.
That was absurd. He has a persist creature in play and green and 1 untapped. And he just doesn't pod. Wow. I mean, for the record, Mind Sensor would mean that when you pod, you only get to search the top couple of cards. So the pod usually fizzles when the surprise. Yeah, you're right. He had a Mind Sensor in play, reminding him that this card exists. Okay, it's not quite. So, and then he was going to use the 3 mana to just summon the Mind Sensor. I mean, I guess that doesn't mean it's quite the sick read I was giving him credit for. Still pretty good, though.
It's pretty good.
Like, how do you decline to pot away your red cap into, like, Archangel? I mean, yeah, he actually could have killed with Archangel Spike Feeder if he had potted red cap into Archangel, untap, pod Pride Mage into Spike Feeder.
Yeah.
Loses to Aven Mind Sensor, though.
It does lose days of mind sensor.
Luis's line's better against Aven Mind Sensor. Craziness. Played around. I got to think that the fact that his opponent might have a Mind Sensor contributed to him choosing this line. He essentially played around a 1-of and was right. It's good to be Luis Scott Vargas.
John Pennick is playing this match incredibly well too. I mean,
Yes.
here, look, he's got a chance this game,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
he has been behind every step of the way.
Well, Luis is up 2 birthing pods to 0 this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really hard to win when your opponent has pod and you don't. Yeah, you're right. Pennick has kept this game very close. Okay, so he pods the red cap. Oh, look at that. It comes back and kills the Mind Sensor. Then the pod ability resolves. Go get Shriek Maw. Wow.
Yep.
Sure, smelling like it. We're going to go to game 3. Oh, by the way, Roll of Roots and another Gavany Township. Look how many permanents Luis has. He's got 7 non-land permanents to Pennick's 1. And that's just like, you have Birthing Pod in play for, 2, 3, 4 turns. It just always turns out like this somehow. It's never the same line. And there's always, the details always feel different, but somehow, if the good pod players are just up 7 permanents to 2. All right, Pride Mage does take down the pod. Feels like it's too late. You just start smashing and Gavany Townshipping, right? I mean, I guess Luis has to defend his last 5 points of life pretty carefully. What's Pennick threatening? He has an Eternal Witness.
Yeah, that's it. And I think, it's...
I mean, add a Gavany Township to Pennick's board, and it is 5 power with Luis at 5. But yeah, the Alpha Strike is lethal.
Yeah,
so.
he'd have to block, and then...
There you go, on to game 3. This has been a fun match.
Yeah, this is a really fun match.
This is a clinic. I mean, you
And
look at
it's-
that back table, I was kind of hoping we'd get over there. You get Li Shi Tian, who just top 8'd the last PT, 2-time Pro Tour top 8 competitor,
Yeah.
2-time Grand Prix champion, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's ranked and for real. And then Jarvis Yu on the other side, right? Popular streamer.
Yeah. Legacy specialist, just one of the, the American Magic scene's favorite internet personalities,
There you go.
the Jarvis Yu.
20 minutes ago, I was really excited to watch those guys play.
Yeah.
No, I went LSV and Pennick to play 5 out of 9 or something. I just want to watch these guys keep going at it.
I'd be happy to sit here and just watch them go at it forever.
They're definitely putting on a clinic.
They are both playing the Archangel of Thune Spike Feeder version
Yeah.
of the pod deck.
I still can't believe the face-to-face guys took that combo out of their deck. That just seems crazy to me. It's so easy and so powerful.
So strong. And I mean, the Archangel can just win the game by itself, too.
Right. Both cards. I mean, Spike Feeder is kind of below the curve.
Yeah.
3 mana 2/2 that you can sack for 4 life. On its own, it is below the curve, but it's not terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
there
like
are
a bad
burn
kitchen
decks,
things, right? Sometimes you want to block with a 2/2 and block and gain 4 life. It comes up. Every once in a while, you can pay 2 to move a +1/+1 counter onto your persist creature and reset it. Right? It's not like it does nothing. But I'm with you. Archangel seems fine I mean, it's almost playable all by itself. And the combo is just, if you have Spike Feeder Archangel, you remove a counter from Spike Feeder to gain life. The Archangel says all of your creatures get +1/+1 counters. Well, Spike Feeder is one of your creatures.
Yep.
So now it's got 2 counters again. Now you can remove another one. It's just
So
it is both infinite life and infinite +1/+1 counters on all your creatures other than the Spike Feeder. Yeah, I was watching LSU was in the feature match in round 4 and won with exactly that combo in the first game. He actually got a little lucky there. His opponent was on Jund, and his opponent had like three or 4 lands, one of which was a Raging Ravine, had Liliana on 1 counter. So he went draw, activate Liliana, play my land to activate Raging Ravine. And Luis is like, well, you have to discard the land to Liliana. The guy just literally sequenced his cards wrong. He needs to play the land and then activate the Liliana.
Ooh.
Like empty-handed. Empty-handed, drew his card, activated Liliana, and played a land. Doesn't actually work that way.
It does not.
Yeah, so Luis won 2-0, but probably should have gone to game 3. Still, Luis blew him out the second game. It certainly looked like Luis was on top of everything.
Pennick's on the play again.
Is this a mulligan?
It is.
This deck does mulligan pretty well.
It mulligans very well.
I was also thinking.
That hand doesn't look like it has a lot going on. Is there 1 land in it?
2, but I think one of them is a township and the other one's an overgrown tomb.
Ah. And then no mana critters, no pod.
No mana, guys. No pod.
Ship it? Go down to 5? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, your opponent kept 7. You're not winning with that draw.
Yeah, you're not keeping winning with that draw ever. I mean, it's hard to mulligan those 6-card hands when you've got your 2 main colors and everything, and multiple lands. But how are you going to beat Luis Scott Vargas on 7 cards with that hand? You're not going to.
2 land 4 spell is normally a keeper at 6.
Yeah.
But like none of the spells did anything. Now, what do these 5 bring? Hierarch, that's a good start. Lands.
Oh, wow, and a ranger. It's great.
Yeah. It's a lot better than the 6er.
Yeah.
I mean, it's never good to go down to 5, but like you can win from there. You just need a good 5.
You win on 5.
A good 5 is better than a bad 6. LSV pays life to get the land untapped, plays turn 1 bird.
That's a pretty bird.
It's beta, right? Beta and signed? That is a pretty bird. Scavenging Ooze. It's Pennick's turn 2. Township. Eternal Witness for the fetch land. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Certainly if he, I think he was out of land in his hand.
Yep.
Solid.
Eternal Witness is just such a versatile card, and like in a format like this, like just being able to play it like that as a Civic Wayfinder.
And he chooses
great.
not to block Scavenging Ooze with Eternal Witness.
Well, it's a 3/3.
Oh, Exalted. I forgot about Exalted. My bad. I was like, you make that trade, but. All right. Pennick did not have a 3rd land, so he had to ship the turn on turn 3. Did not get to play. You saw Ranger of Eos, you said?
Yeah.
All right. Eternal Witness chips away for 2. Marsh Flats comes down for the 2nd time. Luis is going to crack it again. What's he got?
Does he have the pod? Would be pretty good.
Gets a swamp. Didn't feel like paying 2 life for an untapped land here.
2-3.
Down to 12 already. Hard to blame him. It is Murderous Redcap.
Ooh, wow.
Down goes. Wow, interesting choice.
This is a very interesting choice.
Like if you kill this, you can't kill the Scavenging Ooze with the Flicker. You would be able to kill the Hierarch with the Flicker, but I think Hierarch's the better choice here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, your opponent just
missed the
missed
land
their
drop.
third land drop.
You let him have the Scavenging Ooze. You're going to have to deal with Scavenging Ooze, but blowing up mana when your opponent misses a land drop seems worth it. Now,
Definitely.
does Redcap? No, it's not good enough. Wait, is there any food left? There's no food. So he can block with Murderous Redcap. Oh, the Murderous Redcap goes to the graveyard before its ability comes back in,
Yep.
so Scavenging Ooze could eat the Redcap. It would never get to come back and deal that last point. Plus the Ooze would be a 4/4. John draws a bird.
Activate.
Now, he has the Township even to reset the red cap.
You're at 6.
It's looking very good for Luis here.
It's a mana short of Township resetting Redcap, though.
He does have Restoration Angel, though,
Oh
to
my.
accomplish that same goal. And Restoration
Angel means he can kill the bird.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah.
The world is his
If
oyster.
he's got Restoration Angel, get in there.
Oh, he's Birthing Pod, too?
Really?
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Wow, Restoration Angel could actually kill Scavenging Ooze. Like, surprise blocker. If he's got Restoration Angel, I think you ship the turn. Really? You don't surprise blocker? Oh, he wants to kill the bird. Okay. Oh, hilarious. Pennick tapped out to eat the land just to get it out of
Yep.
LSV's graveyard so that he couldn't recycle it with Eternal Witness. And LSV was like, haha, I got you. While you're tapped out, I can kill your bird and you can't eat my red cap. Super tight play from both players. I mean, I think Pennick was right, but so was Luis. He did give away the ability to summon the Angel as a surprise blocker of Scavenging Ooze. And the Scavenging Ooze can now eat the bird to get to 4/4.
And Luis is still at 9.
But I mean, I think killing that bird was pretty powerful.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really. Luis' life total, though, at this point isn't the most relevant. I mean, he has.
I mean, look, the Ooze can hit him from 9 down to 5.
Well,
it's
he's
like-
blocking.
With what?
Red cap.
And then it gets eaten.
Yeah.
He doesn't actually want. I mean, it doesn't flicker. It doesn't. It just gets eaten. Like it's just a chump block. Pennick declines the attack.
I guess he was afraid of the double block, maybe?
Oh, double block would beat him. Yeah. Angel plus something, but he would kill the Angel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have attacked there if I was Pennick. I think you can eat your bird to get to 4/4. You can still threaten to eat the red cap. I mean, double block does kill the Scavenging Ooze, right? Double block would trade Ooze for Angel, which is probably not what John wants to do here.
I just
like-
don't know what it is
Yeah,
that
what
he's
is
trying
this
to
line?
draw.
Here?
Yeah.
He's trying to draw lands into Ranger VOs. Like he's trying to stay alive long enough for a long game.
No, he's just trying. Maybe he's trying to set things up for a place where like Pontiff would be particularly good.
Oh, he's Slaughter Pact. So he slaughters the Angel.
Yeah, now he's tied up his mana for next turn.
Yeah. He is going to get... So Slaughter Pact lets him kill the Angel. He's going to then spend his mana eating the Angel and the bird. He's going to wind up with a 5/5 Scavenging Ooze here, I think.
Yep.
He's then going to be committed to paying for Slaughter Pact. But he's got a giant man. Luis doesn't... I mean, Luis just got a bunch of dudes. I mean, mana critters, essentially. A red cap that he... I guess he could block with the red cap. Flicker it back since there's no mana for Pennick to use to eat it with the Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, I mean, I think Pennick's right to attack, but I think Luis blocks with red cap here.
I think you're right.
Especially with Gavany Township around to reset it. He's going to chump with Wall of Roots. Why do you not block with red cap there?
Huh. I don't know.
Oh, apparently he wants to attack with a 2/2 red cap. So that's 4. Oh, Birthing Pod. That's why. Now he can flicker the red cap and go get a 5-drop. like, say, our friend, the Necrotol. Shriek Maul being the Necrotol of choice in the pod deck these days. Down goes Scavenging Ooze. John Pennick, once again, down to 3 land and nothing. And oh, look at that. The guy with the Birthing Pod in play has like 5 non-land permanent lead. Now, I mean, to be fair, LSV kind of had the non-land permanent lead anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Pennick mullied to 5. It was one of those games, but still.
Yeah.
This has been an incredible match. It's a shame that this third game has been a little lackluster and one-sided.
It's still been an interesting game. I mean,
yeah, it was still very interesting.
There
were
all kinds
tons
of cool
decisions.
little moments and interactions. And crisply played by both players.
Definitely. The entire match has been beautiful from both ends. So down to the bird from the Ranger of Eos.
I like the instant, like the Restoration Angel. There was no doubt in Luis's mind that when Pennick ate his land with Scavenging Ooze, he was playing the Restoration Angel then, not as a surprise blocker, but in fact as an opportunity to flicker a red cap and kill a bird. All good stuff. Now, yeah, LSV's just lining up the kill, playing around as many things as he possibly can while winning as efficiently as possible. He decided, I'm done with this mana denial strategy. You're up to 4 lands. It is time for removing Kitchen Finks from the game. You don't get to persist. You can have a 5th land. I don't care about that part. I will smash you and activate Gavany Township.
That's it, right?
Is that, I think the Hierarch tapped for mana? Yeah, it wasn't quite lethal, but it was close.
But now it's lethal.
Flicker the red cap. There you go.
Okay.
And there's the hand. Luis Scott Vargas. Going to be playing day 2 for sure.
Yeah.
He's now 7-0, so worst he can possibly be is 7-2.